Ever find yourself scrolling through LinkedIn and thinking, man, I wish I had time for this?
Yeah, tell me about it. Between work and, well, life,
Yeah.
who has time to be an influencer?
Right. But what if you could have like an AI assistant for that?
Okay, now you're speaking my language.
Well, that's what we're diving into today. We've got a mountain of info here on Hunter by doozerAI.
This is the one that's supposed to be your AI social media manager, right?
Bingo. And from what I've seen, it's not just some generic posting tool. It's like next level.
Yeah, the way they describe it, it's like having an actual assistant who understands your business.
Exactly. And tailors the content for you, which is huge because who has time to be crafting the perfect LinkedIn post every day?
Seriously.
Oh, wow.
I could barely keep up with my actual inbox.
Right. But it's one thing to say it's personalized and another to actually pull it off.
Especially when you look at the range of industries they're targeting.
Yeah.
I mean, they've got everyone from cybersecurity experts to...
Wait, was
Yeah.
that textile manufacturer?
I saw that. I was like, textiles.
Yeah.
Really? Talk about a diverse group.
It's a pretty wild mix. Makes you wonder how the AI figures out what's relevant for each one.
That's what I want to know. Like, how does Hunter learn to speak the language of, say, renewable energy versus, like, financial consulting?
Right, because those are two totally different worlds.
Totally. So where does the AI magic actually happen?
Well, the onboarding process seems to be key.
Okay, so tell me more about that.
So based on this chatbot script you sent, it looks like Hunter starts by gathering info about your business.
Like, what kind of info are we talking?
You know, the usual stuff, a quick overview of what you do, your unique selling proposition, even your preferred news sources. So it's like Hunter's interviewing you before it starts working for you.
Pretty much.
Yeah.
It wants to understand your brand voice, the kind of content you like to share, even the overall tone of your posts.
I kind of love that. It's like, okay, Hunter, here's the deal.
Exactly. Here's what we're all about.
And I noticed they're pretty flexible with the whole news source thing.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, like you can give Hunter a specific list of websites and publications, or
Don't leave me hanging.
it can actually go out and find relevant stuff based on keywords.
And that's pretty cool.
Right. Especially if you're trying to stay ahead of the curve in like a fast-moving industry.
Absolutely. You don't want to be stuck reading last month's news.
Exactly. But that also brings up the question of quality control.
Because you're trusting this AI to pick good stuff.
Yeah, I mean, you don't want your LinkedIn feed full of like clickbait and fluff pieces.
Right, because that's not a good look.
Not at all. So how does Hunter make sure the articles it's sharing are actually legit and valuable?
Well, the documents don't go into crazy detail about their algorithms, which is kind of a bummer.
Yeah, I was hoping for a little more transparency there.
Me too. But they do mention that Hunter uses AI to analyze content and figure out if it's actually relevant.
So it's not just matching keywords, it's trying to understand the articles.
That's the idea. They're probably using some pretty high-level natural language processing to do that.
Okay, so we're not talking about some simple bot here. This is getting complex. And luckily, you sent over some technical documents too, so let's dive into those next to see what's really going on under the hood.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Because the tech stack behind Hunter is actually pretty impressive, and it reveals a lot about just how powerful this tool can be.
Okay, so we just spent the last few minutes geeking out about how Hunter can sift through mountains of news and figure out what's actually worth reading.
It's like having a personal news curator, which, honestly, I wouldn't mind having in real life.
Right. Imagine, like, never having to wade through another boring industry report again.
Sign me up. But seriously, when you start digging into the tech behind Hunter, it's clear they're not messing around.
Okay, so shoot me with the technical stuff. What's powering this AI magic?
Well, one name that jumped out at me was Cosmos DB.
Cosmos DB. Okay, so for those of us who aren't, like, database experts.
It's basically Microsoft's globally distributed database service. And when they say globally distributed, they mean it massive storage capacity, data centers all over the world.
Okay, but why does Hunter need something so, well, massive? It's just articles, right?
But it's not just the articles themselves. See, Hunter needs to remember your preferences, the content it's analyzed, your posting schedule, all sorts of data points to tailor the experience for you. It's building a profile.
So it's not just storing information, it's like learning and adapting as it goes.
Exactly. Imagine a filing cabinet the size of a skyscraper, and instead of folders, it's got algorithms constantly organizing and making sense of the information. That's Cosmos DB.
Okay, my mind is officially blown. What else is in Hunter's bag of tricks?
Well, remember how we talked about those AI-generated visuals? How Hunter doesn't just share links, it creates images to go with them.
Yeah, that part was wild. I thought it would be using stock photos or something.
Nope, this is next-level stuff.
Yeah.
And the tech behind it is something called Dale E3. You might have heard of it.
Wait, the AI that can create, like, any image you can describe.
The one and only.
Yeah.
And having that integrated into Hunter means it can create visuals tailored to the specific content it's sharing.
Okay, so not just finding relevant articles, but also making them look amazing. This is getting dangerous.
Right. And then, just when I thought it couldn't get any wilder, I saw they're using Azure.
Azure, like Microsoft Azure.
Yep, the big kahuna of cloud computing platforms. And that tells me Hunter is built for serious scale.
Yep.
We're not talking about a small operation here.
So what you're saying is they're expecting a lot of people to use this thing.
Put it this way. If they're building on Azure, they're playing for the big leagues.
Huh.
It's like building a restaurant kitchen with enough ovens to feed a small city. They're anticipating huge demand.
This is way more complex than I initially thought, like exponentially more complex.
And we're just scratching the surface.
Yeah.
But speaking of complexity, those code snippets you sent over,
Yeah.
those were fascinating.
Oh, yeah, I was geeking out over those. It's like peeking behind the curtain and seeing how the AI sausage gets made. It's like a digital map to Hunter's brain, right? Remember seeing those terms in the code? Get news story info,
Oh, yeah.
extract stories, tag stories. Like, it's actually walking through those steps.
It's like they wanted us to understand how it works.
Right. And from the looks of it, it's a pretty involved process.
Way more than I initially thought. First, you've got Hunter pulling in all this news from different sources, right?
Yeah, it's got to be pulling from everywhere.
I'm talking RSS feeds, APIs, maybe even some web scraping, whatever it takes to find the good stuff.
Like a digital vacuum cleaner, just sucking up information.
Exactly. But then it has to figure out what to do with it all. That's where those other terms come in, extract stories, tag stories.
Okay, so walk me through that. What's happening there?
That's where the AI really shines. It's using NLP, natural language processing, to analyze those articles.
NLP, that's the one where it's basically reading the articles like we would.
Exactly. It's not just scanning for keywords. It's trying to understand the meaning, the sentiment, even the main themes and arguments.
Because what's relevant for a cybersecurity company is going to be different from, like, a fashion brand, right?
Night and day. So Hunter has to figure out not just what the article is about, but who would care about it.
Okay, so it's like having an assistant who pre-reads everything and flags the important stuff.
A very, very fast assistant. And remember how we talked about the human element?
Oh yeah, how it's not all just AI. There's still some human oversight.
Right. Well, in one of those documents, someone asks Hunter for a short, fun call to action about a February offer.
I loved that example.
And Hunter actually delivers. It crafts a post that's both engaging and informative.
It's like the AI can build the framework, but you still get to choose the color palette.
Exactly. You're still in control of your brand voice and messaging.
Which I think is key for a lot of people. It's not about AI taking over, it's about AI making your life easier.
And freeing up your time so you can focus on the things that actually require your unique human brilliance.
Okay, so we've covered a lot of ground here. We've talked about Hunter's potential, the impressive tech behind it, and even got a peek at how it actually works.
It's a lot to take in.
It is. But as always, we want to bring it back to you, the listener. What does all this mean for you?
Especially if you're considering taking the AI plunge yourself.
Right, because at the end of the day, it's a tool.
It's only as good as the information you give it.
And the goals you set for it.
Couldn't agree more. Hunter might be able to elevate your social media game.
But it's not magic.
It still requires you to put in the work.
So, as you're exploring the world of AI-powered tools,
Which, let's be honest, are popping up everywhere these days.
here's something to think about. How much control are you willing to give up?
And how will you ensure your unique voice shines through?
Even in an increasingly automated world. That's all the time we have for today's deep dive.
But we'll catch you next time for another adventure into the world of game-changing technology.
See you then.